I think I may have heard somebody outside the door.
I don't know who that is at the door.
Oh, I don't know either, Mom. I don't know either. Come on in.
That's probably Mike. It's probably Mike. Come on in, Mike.
Brother Mike.
Hey,
how are you?
Mike McCartney.
How are you guys?
Yeah, have a seat. Have a seat. Mike McCartney, Executive Director of the HSTA, former, I guess we could say our former boss, the guy who brought us in here to PBS Hawaii, former head of the Democratic Party.
Very proud of the show.
I mean, how you doing? How you doing?
Oh, I'm surfing the waves of life, and I'm trying to make sure I don't hit the reef.
That's true, though. In your life, I mean, you have done a lot of different things, and your life has taken you on a lot of different courses, different directions. Here you are now as the Executive Director of the HSTA. I guess my first question would be, why? How did that happen? This is not an easy position to hold.
I've been very fortunate. This is like going back home. I got my first job at HSTA when I was 24 years old. Joan Husted hired me as a negotiation specialist back then, right out of college. And both my parents were educators. I got a degree in physical education, and I started at HSTA. So when Joan retired, this job opened up. It was like I get a chance to go back home. And what better place to work than to help teachers teach so students can learn.
So, you know, now we're at almost an impasse.
Yes.
I guess it is an impasse, a constitutional impasse. Right now, the way teachers are considered, they are drug
tested?
They are suspected of being drug users, because they have to prove that they're not drug users. So they are guilty until proven innocent. I think that's rather unconstitutional. And it seems that the state really has it in for the teachers. I mean, this is what you decided. It's either you take this or you don't take this, and it just gets messier and messier. Where do we stand right now?
It's really unfortunate. There's a lot of rhetoric out there. There's a lot of rhetoric from people who aren't even at the bargaining table. As we speak, we've been negotiating in good faith with Pat Hamamoto and the Board of Education. Teachers are not drug users. It's not a big problem out there. We're willing to go through a drug testing program, but we want to do it right. You can't violate the Constitution. It's a matter of principle. You can't just allow people to be tested randomly without suspicionless drug testing. That's wrong. And so we got to stand on principle. It may not be popular, but it's the right thing to do. You know, as far as reasonable suspicion, we're more than willing to go forward with that. Reasonable suspicion would mean if someone suspected use of drugs or alcohol at school, that person refuses to get tested, they get fired. I mean, those kind of policies we're ready to go with. We just have a hang-up on random suspicionless testing, which is against the state and federal constitutions.
If I may play the devil's advocate here, though, I mean, there are other companies, there are other entities that do random drug testing, though, right? And is that considered also unconstitutional?
Well, pre-employment testing is not unconstitutional. That's pretty established. But when you start randomly testing employees, under the federal law, under the U.S. Constitution, it's safety-sensitive employees. You have to balance safety-sensitive positions with people's right to privacy. So, you know, the Constitution was all about trying to balance the powers of government and the rights of individuals. And so we're at this delicate balance here, and all I'm saying, and all we're saying is HSTA, let's get it done right. Let's do it right to avoid litigation over the long term, avoid a big-time fight and another suit and people spending taxpayer time and money doing it that way. We have a proposal that could get it done right, and we're ready to go with that. And don't understand why everybody's calling us names and bullying us when we're negotiating right there in good faith.
What about the state saying that if you don't do this, you don't get your raise? What about that?
That's
negotiated ploy? What?
Yeah, that's just a ploy, and we don't take that very seriously. And that there's no substantiation to that, and it's unfortunate those statements were made by the employer.
Now, you mentioned taxpayers' dollars, and there will be money that has to go into whatever drug testing program or policy is laid on the Hawaii State Teachers Association. And here we are now in this really strange time where you have the talk about rail and billions of dollars going to that project. You have the talk about drug testing, whatever money might have to go into that policy. And yet, Governor Linda Lingle taking away or talking about taking away funding for education that could now affect JV athletics or other sports altogether like judo. It's just a weird dichotomy that we seem to be immersed in. in regards to education. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, education is supposed to be about hope. So we're living in fear. Everybody's pushing fear to drive policy. To me, sports is about hope. And the governor in this state has more power than any governor in the country. They can move money around from one department to the other to help meet critical needs. So you look at JV sports. What are you going to do with those kids? They miss 1 year. They'll never get that year back their whole lives. You're going to create future problems, social problems, economic problems, because they're not in school and participating. Sports is a subject. Sports keeps kids in school. It teaches them things about life. It teaches them about teamwork. It teaches them about discipline. And you know, it's money well spent. You know, way back in other governors had to make tough decisions. This governor will have to make tough decisions too. We know the economy is bad. One governor made a tough decision by cutting PBS out of the budget and made a vertical cut, and I think those kind of things need to be looked at. But when you start bleeding a system like that and cutting percentage by percentage by percentage, pretty soon you can't offer anything. And I think that would be a very unwise cut to take away JV sports.
In your opinion, and you are the head of the HSTA, in your opinion, is this current administration in the state, are they dedicated to education? And if they are, how much? Because all of a sudden, it's education getting the cuts. It's that hope you talk about getting the cuts. Are they really concerned about the quality of public education in the state, in your opinion, right now?
I don't want to speak for them, but you know, teachers need help. If you look at what teachers are saying, what do they want most of all? They want lower class sizes, they want less paperwork, they want more administrative support, they want better facilities to teach their kids, and number 5, they want pay. I think this administration should do a lot more to support public education, simply to just change you know, the governance of the board and those kind of issues will never work. Our teachers need the tools to teach our kids, and in public schools they take all kids, and they need the resources. We don't have the resources on the table, and I think the commitment speaks for itself.
I mean, I was a teacher a long time ago. My wife was a teacher, and we, out of our own pocket, bought supplies for our classrooms, because even in those days, public education suffered from funding.
Yeah. Teachers want to teach. They're not in it for the money. They chose it because it's their craft. They could make a difference. It was about hope. It's about lifting up the next generation, and they need to be supported. They're not in it for the money, and I think that's a classic example. Teachers all the time have done that. My mom used to do that all the time. She used to take me on excursions on Saturday with kids, you know, when you could, and spend her own money taking them to Sea Life Park, you know, and that's what teachers do.
How do you retain good teachers? I mean, teachers not only their students do well on tests, but their students do well creativity.
You back them up. You back them up. It's just like a football coach. You stand behind your players. You back them up. You may not have all the money in this program or in the schools, but you back them up, and you give them the classroom environment that they can teach. And I think that's how you attract and retain good teachers. More than money, they want an environment where they can teach.
How tough is that becoming, like the recruitment of teachers? How tough is that endeavor these days?
There's so many careers and career options for teachers and for people who want to go into teaching out there, that it gets tougher and tougher. And then on top of that, you have the rules, regulations, policies, and procedures that tell teachers what they can and can't do anymore. That it gets really, really tough to teach a class, because you're spending a lot of time filling out paperwork and doing things that take you away from the classroom. So it is tough. It's a challenge. We're recruiting people from all over the country, and there's nothing wrong with getting teachers from the mainland, but it's hard to find qualified teachers who are licensed to teach in our schools, and I think that is going to continue to be an issue until we start addressing the real classroom environment and creating an environment where students are ready to learn and can learn.
My daughter, his sister, was a teacher in the public schools, taught at Lina Puni Elementary School, Kuhio Park Terrace. Right. She loved that job. She then had to get, you know, more money, and she needed other courses that weren't available at the University of Hawaii. So she went for her master's degree at the University of Maryland in problem reading, was able to get the degree, and has never come back because of the difference in the money paid.
Yeah. See, I think that in Hawaii, what our goal is as educators is to create a Hawaii that our children can choose to call home. That if my kids want to move to the mainland, that's great. They'll take Hawaii in their heart. But I want our kids, the next generation, to be able to choose and say, Hawaii is my home. And I think that's what educators do. And we got to stand behind them.